Terry McLaurin is going to get extended by the Commanders prior to week 1 because despite Terry McLaurin requesting a trade, it makes too much sense for both parties to re-up and stay together long term. For the Commanders, what, you're just going to trade your number 1 wide receiver a few weeks before the season, potentially stunning the growth of your young star quarterback in Jayden Daniels? That is not happening, okay? For Terry, okay, despite what Joe thinks, most of the rest of us think you're not quite a top 5 receiver in football. You're somewhere in that 8 to 15 range for most fans and probably for most guys in the NFL, and most NFL front office people as well. And you're going to be turning 30 week 2 of the NFL season this year. And do you really want to get traded to a different organization who probably has a worse quarterback and has a worse opportunity to win a championship? And you have to adjust to all that with just a few weeks before the season? I do not think so. So I think it makes too much sense for these two parties to figure out a deal. Maybe it's a shorter term extension. Maybe it's 2 or 3 years at around $30 million a year, something that doesn't have to set the highest paid wide receiver ever type record. But Terry's going to get his money, and I think it's going to allow the Commanders a little bit of flexibility in there as well. But I'm going to kick it to these guys. I want to kick it to Joe first. Joe, what do you think about this Terry McLaurin trade request, and do you think he's going to get traded?
You know, it's funny. I made a ranking, and I'm still catching flack where I put my boy Scary Terry. It's great. But I said when this all started coming out, why would you alienate your number 1 wide receiver who is helping your franchise quarterback find his way in an offense that overperformed last year? Now, I understand you added Debo. Debo is not a number 1 wide receiver. If he was, I'd have a little bit less concern about Scary Terry wanting out. My problem is that, to your point, Scary Terry says, oh, I want to trade. Where do you think you're going? The New York Giants need wide receiver help, but you're not going to be doing anything there. The Carolina Panthers need wide receiver help, and although I do think Bryce Young's going to have a good year, they have a lot of young talent in there. I don't think they really are willing to invest in another 30-some-odd-year-old wide receiver because they have Adam Thielen. Tennessee Titans, they got a brand new quarterback. You have no idea what Cam Ward is going to look like. You would be the number 1 wide receiver and get a shit ton of targets, though. But do you really want to live in Nashville? I don't know. The Buffalo Bills need some talent wide receiver, but then again, you know, they're not going to pay top dollar, so the Commanders aren't probably going to do that. I live just south of Nashville. I'm kidding, Tennessee Titans fans. The New York Jets,
Nashville caught a wild stray
who
right
are
there.
already wondering whether or not that, Justin Fields is going to be healthy to play. The Kansas City Chiefs wouldn't be bad, but once again, they can't afford you. And the Chicago Bears, who did you all see the clip of Caleb Williams missing the entire net trying to throw a football? Like, I don't know where you want to go. The only good news is that the New England Patriots might be interested. It's one of the top landing spots, all right? But what are they going to give you back, Washington? Kendrick Bourne and Jalen Polk? Like, are those guys Scary Terry level? I don't think so. You know, you have a number 1 guy. Why get rid of him? You're not getting anything for a 31-year-old wide receiver. It's not going to happen. These guys aren't edge rushers. They're not tackles. You know, they're not star quarterbacks. When they hit 31 years old, they fall off a cliff. That's how this works in the world, right? Not every wide receiver is Jerry Rice in longevity, right? Not every single, we saw Megatron only play 10 seasons, and he was one of the most dominant ever. Julio Jones looked like a shell of himself at a certain point. You see these guys fall off a cliff. You're not getting top dollar for Scary Terry. He's in a good system. He's got rapport with your quarterback. Just extend the man. Now, on the Scary Terry side, you're not going to get $15-16 million a year, bud. I'm sorry. You're a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver. Okay? I don't think it's going to happen. If they want to front load it, make the last year of your contract voidable and give you a 3-year deal with like a fuck ton of signing bonus, sure. This is nothing about how talented Scary Terry is. We all like Scary Terry. He's got a good game. He's had shit quarterback play till last season, almost his entire career, and has put up pretty decent numbers in that time frame. The problem you run into with Scary Terry is now that he's got a good quarterback, his career is at it's on the back 9. He's probably closer to 18 than he is the 9th hole. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you're at. So to your point, Matt, I don't think he gets traded because the value is not there of getting anything back, unless you think that like a package deal of like another veteran and a young guy to develop is worth it. And teams like the Patriots, who have, 11 guys, 10 guys on the roster right now, the wide receiver core, that's your best bet. But even then, you may get like a 7th, a 5th if you're lucky with those guys, and they're cutting them anyway. Like there's no value there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. There's not going to be much value there because again, there's been one of the more recent that was a hard thing to say. Recent receiver trades that there has been was DK Metcalf to the Steelers, and DK Metcalf's in his mid-20s, and they got a second round pick for him and had to pay him $30 million a year. So when you're at your later 20s, about to be 30, and Terry McLaurin's also already got paid. He just got done with a 3-year, $70 million contract. So I'm assuming the Commanders are like, hey man, like we already paid you once, like we'll pay you again, but it's not going to be the, like you said, we're not breaking the bank. We're not doing anything crazy. So when you see that for a receiver like DK Metcalf, in my opinion, DK and Terry are probably in a similar tier as far as NFL wide receivers go as well. I don't see teams, like you mentioned, I don't see teams really anteing up and saying, hey, we're going to pay you, $35 million and give up a first round pick for you. I think it's more of a mid round pick. I think it's more of a third or a fourth, maybe a player involved as well. And then, somewhere around 30 million, probably more in the 25 million range for Terry McLaurin. But yeah, it's a situation that's mutually beneficial, in my opinion, for both of these teams to figure it out and get something done. But Sammy, I'm kicking it to you, man. What do you think about this Terry McLaurin trade request? Do you think he's actually getting traded?
I don't, and I do think this is one of those negotiation tactics that players tend to do, especially nowadays. But I guess my only thing is that I don't want to side with the organization, but I kind of have an understanding of why they are very hesitant to pay Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is 29 years old. Okay, he's going to be 30 in September, and he wants DK Metcalf money. How much does DK Metcalf make? He makes $33 million. Now, mind you, DK Metcalf is 27 years old. Let's look at the other players that make $30 million, shall we? Tyreek Hill, he's 31 years old. He's going to be the only player you see in the $30 million club that's over 30 years old, and for a good reason. The other players, Jamar Chase, I really don't need to be explaining that one. Justin Jefferson, don't need to explain that one. CeeDee Lamb, don't need to explain that one either. Then we get into the nitty gritty. DK Metcalf is on there. AJ Brown is on that list. Garrett Wilson remains to be seen about him, but he's in the prime of his career. The same thing can be said about Amon-Ra St. Brown. The only iffy one is Brandon Ayuk, and that's mostly because of injury. But if you open the tape, he's a good route runner and he's a great receiver. The only problem is he got hurt. So we're a bit iffy on that. Now, can we really say, other than maybe Brandon Ayuk, is Terry McLaurin on any of these receivers' level? In my humble opinion, not really at all. I know, Joe, you might think so. For me, absolutely not. He's not worth the $30 million at all, and teams are not going to pay him that amount of money. If DK Metcalf money is what he wants, it's not what he's going to get. That being said, what choice do the Commanders have? Who else can the Commanders turn to? That is where the problem with Terry McLaurin and the Commanders lie. Because the truth is, if you're going to pay Terry McLaurin, and now might actually be the perfect time to do it. Jayden Daniels, right? Coming off an incredible rookie year. And that's the great part. He's got a rookie contract. You won't need to worry about extensions, probably 2, maybe even 3 years down the line. They are going to pay Jayden Daniels. It is not even a question. He's going to get paid. So I say for now, pay Terry McLaurin the money he wants. Don't make it too expensive. I say $30 million for average annual salary for the next 2-3 years. Let's see how far Terry McLaurin can take Jayden Daniels. Let's see how far this can go. Because quite frankly, what are you seriously going to bet on your draft prowess to draft the perfect receiver with Jayden Daniels? Respectfully, I don't know how much better you can get compared to Terry McLaurin. I don't know how much better you can get. Even though I said he's not really top 5 and he might not even be top 10, still 1,000% top 12 for me. And where are you going to find a top 12 receiver? You're not going to just draft him. It's going to be hard to trade for him. You have him, and you have Deebo Samuel, and you have a solid wide receiver core. You take Terry McLaurin away, this thing becomes absolutely crazy. And honestly, you're not Super Bowl favorites. Mark up the Eagles as NFC East champs. So I understand the Commanders being hesitant to pay him, but I say right now is probably the perfect time to pay him. I know you probably got other people you have to keep in mind, but hey, I mean, what other choice do you have? I don't think you have many others.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.